Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Diptii Shah and welcome to my show, Artistry. It is my greatest pleasure to have with me today the founder and chairwoman of the Amber Foundation in Hong Kong, Miss Elizabeth Thomson. Hello, Elizabeth, and welcome to my show.
Thank you, Diptii, and a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So, Elizabeth, when did the Amber Foundation begin, and what is the story behind it?
Well, it really started about 20 years ago when my son was actually doing the highest Boy Scout honor, which is called Eagle Scout in the US. And he was at HKIS. So although we're Canadians, he was following the American system. And he had to do a community project. And I guess because we traveled so much, we always had airline kits all over the house. And he decided, or we all decided, that we would start collecting airline kits and we would go around and distribute them to the homeless, which was quite an event. And we started doing that in a very small way. And then in 2011, we actually registered the Amber Foundation in Hong Kong as a charity under the Inland Revenue, the Section 88 part. And we got much busier collecting airline kits and hotel toiletries. And that's really, I guess, when we formally started was in 2011. In fact, I know for a fact it was the 30th of December in 2011.
Wow, awesome. So a long journey doing this.
Yes, yeah, a rather long journey, which I think most of us are on some kind of journey, right?
So Elizabeth, what are your top projects that you run even now, currently?
Okay, well, the airline kits, what we call the Amber Recycling Project, the airline kits and hotel toiletries is quite big. We have 18 drop-off points all over Hong Kong. We have 28 charity partners that we distribute to. And we've even expanded to a certain extent pre-COVID into Macau and a little bit into the US and Canada, because we know this is a big problem that people get these airline kits and hotel toiletries and they hoard them under their bathroom sink. So whenever I meet people, I say, what's under your bathroom sink that you would like to donate? And they always laugh and say, oh, I have a lot that I want to donate. So that's really been our main project. But 4 years ago, after providing scholarships to ethnic minority young women in Hong Kong through a wonderful charity called Unison, I participated in an interview and realized that although these young women very much needed the money, they needed more than that. They needed a network, they needed a leg up, they needed help with taking their university education and really making it worthwhile for them to find a good job, a good career. And so I started a program called Empower by the Amber Foundation, which this year we're in our 4th year, and we have 39 young ethnic minority women, all from Hong Kong, who are in university in Hong Kong. And for these young women, we run a minimum of 5 workshops a year. We have tremendous support from some of the biggest corporations in Hong Kong. And it's just a very heartwarming program to see that these young women can move into the future after fighting very hard to get into university.
Right, that's awesome, Elizabeth. So if we just talk about your first project, which is the airline kit redistribution project,
Right.
Can we go in a little details? And first of all, how did you come up with the idea of an airline kit? Because it is such an ingenuous idea, you know, making the best out of something which is totally waste for all of us. And
well, I think it was because we had so many in our own house. You know, when we were in business, we were traveling constantly and collecting toothbrushes from hotels and this and that, and certainly airline kits. So what we're doing now is we collect the airline kits, and sometimes they are complete, but very often they're not. Very often what happens is that someone has taken something out of the kit. So we repack them into men's and women's kits, and we then distribute to the charities that are on our roster, which at this point is about 28 charities all over Hong Kong. In fact, in December, we had almost a frantic month with numerous shipments going out. And the other thing that's happened with that, which I think is totally wonderful in terms of the environment and our world, is the fact that because of COVID, many groups that supply hotels and airlines have tremendous problems of excess stock that were not taken up. Right. So earlier this year, we were offered 500,000 toothpaste, and we redistributed them to a charity in the Philippines. So they were shipped from China directly to the Philippines, which was a bit of a logistical nightmare, but it did happen. And just recently, we had 100,000 toothbrushes. We had 1,000 body lotions and 1,000 shampoos. So we're getting larger numbers, and we're able to help through our network to redistribute these things rather than them ending up in the landfill.
Do you have any advice for people who are in quarantine? You know, they're not traveling, but they are in hotels. So I'm sure they would have a supply of toiletries as well.
Yeah, some of them do, not all of them. Fortunately, some of the hotels have gone to having the large bottles of shampoo, conditioner, body lotion, etc. But we're asking the people in quarantine to please take their toiletries home and find a donation point to donate to the Amber Foundation. And, you know, we want people to know that if they don't do that, that the hotels will actually put everything in the landfill, which is really just a horrendous environmental disaster. So we've been trying to get that word out to people in quarantine, please bring your toiletries home. And we've been getting more and more. It's hard for us to tell if they're from people in quarantine or not, but we're grateful for everything that we get.
So, Elizabeth, I myself living in Hong Kong, and many of us have this problem of not knowing what to do with things that are not, you know, really useful to us, or maybe they are unwanted gifts, be it furniture, be it so many things. So what do we do about it? And what is the resource? Where can we go to and, you know, actually find out, you know, what to do with them?
Well, you know, it's a good question. I know recently there was a club in Central that was running a Christmas fair, I think, and they were asking for unwanted gifts. And believe me, they got a big bag from me. There was no doubt about that. And then afterwards, I thought, oh, I should have even given them more. So I think watching, you know, one group that does good articles on this is Sassy Mama. And they often are saying where you can donate and who wants things. I think the other thing is to put it up on Facebook, and sometimes charities will come forward and say, oh, we're having a raffle or we need that. I know, for example, that we get quite a lot of baby stuff, baby shampoo, baby this, baby that, which we can't use in our kits because our kits are for adults. And we send all of that to Refugee Union. The other place that we send quite a lot of things is to the Bethune Migrant Refuge. So there's several refuges around that are looking for different things like that. And I think you have to compile almost your own list and keep looking. People often come to me and say, could you take this? Could you take that? And if I can't, then what I will do is say, no, but here's a group that you can contact and see if they will take it. Like recently, somebody asked me about soft toys.
Right.
And I said, Refugee Union has a lot of small children, babies. Yes, they really don't need small, soft toys, but of course, children love them. And I said, if you could also send $100 or some food with that, some canned food, that would be very helpful to them. So there's some ideas of what you can do, but it's a challenge. It's a struggle, and especially the unwanted gifts part.
Now, talking about your second project, Elizabeth, Empower, you're working with these young girls, right, of different ethnicity, and giving them a platform to launch themselves in this career world. So, what are these challenges, and how did you, narrow down that this is a project that you need to do?
Well, it came directly out of providing scholarships. Our family, the Amber Foundation is our family foundation. And through the Amber Foundation and relatives, we provide 9 scholarships for young women in university. And the challenge, I would say that the biggest challenge is that they're invisible to the workforce. I ran a company in Hong Kong for 32 years that dealt with companies coming in from North America and Europe, and excellent English was a top requirement. And that became more and more difficult. And, I could never find the ethnic minorities, the vast majority of whom, as you would know, Diptii, have excellent English. Really, English is one of their first languages. They have so many languages that it's embarrassing to me as a linguist, but I just find that they're invisible to the workforce. And I find that people now are constantly talking about diversity and inclusion, but sometimes I feel like it's only talk. I don't feel that they know how to approach these communities, how to find these people, how to employ these people, what to do. I think the other challenge is to integrate them into the organization that does employ them. So in the summer, we had a wonderful experience with a very large international law firm who reached out and said, we'd like to provide summer internships. And we know that you have last year we had 3 law students. This year we have 6. And I said, okay. And I was talking to the HR lady. I said, but I'm a little concerned that they'll be overwhelmed by an office in Central and, a very international type of staff, et cetera. She said to me something absolutely heartwarming. She said, I grew up in similar circumstances in Tin Soi Wai. And she said, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give every one of those young women not only a mentor, but a buddy. And it worked perfectly. It was just, and the comments coming back were just absolutely incredible. I was so proud of these young women that they made such a mark in a big international law firm. And, if you think about being in London or being in Toronto or New York, having a mix of people in a firm is so totally normal.
Right.
But here, I think it's still a challenge. I don't see Hong Kong as a very diverse society. I'm a Canadian, and whenever I go to Canada, I look around and I go, wow, this is what a real diverse society looks like. So I think those are some of the challenges that these young women have. That whole matching, and the other part of it is their lack of a network. So I found with my children, who are both adults now, that we had to help as parents when they got through, or with whatever stage of their life. Of course, we had to help. But a lot of these young women come from families where they could go home and try and discuss these issues, but there's nothing coming back because the parents haven't been educated. They probably haven't even finished high school. Some of the mothers don't speak English. They don't understand the workforce. They don't understand, what's going on. And really, these girls have become extremely resilient because they had to be, which is one good thing. But they need more opportunity and they need more recognition. So they need more visibility, which is one of the cornerstones of our program.
Elizabeth, you talk of visibility and opportunity. Now, a person, not necessarily from an ethnic background, but just anyone, where does one actually start? Where does one actually begin to, approach someone? Because even if it's not a glass ceiling, it is still very difficult to go ahead and, tell someone and ask for help.
Yeah, I think a program like ours is vital. This year we have 39 young women in the program. When we started 4 years ago, we had 9. I think we're probably at the maximum that we can take. We can probably take 40 and that's about it. It's a lot of management, a lot of organizing, and fortunately I help with that. I think there's a few groups. I mentioned Unison, which has been in Hong Kong a long time. There's also the Zubin Foundation, which is doing a phenomenal array of services for ethnic minorities. I think there's groups where they can reach out. Some of them I find are not very aware of those groups, and they kind of have to be led by the nose to participate in those groups. The EOC actually has a young person's group. So I think there's more resources now than there were maybe even 5 years ago. It isn't that long that these resources started coming into play and people started talking about ethnic minorities and what they need to do and how they need to proceed forward. So I think those are some of the ideas. It's a tough road, no doubt about it.
On a lighter note, Elizabeth, you've been working hard as a lawyer, having your own company, running it for 32 years, bringing it to the pinnacle, and then, starting a charity with the same passion, the same courage, the same interest. How do you do this?
Well, it's, I think after a career in the corporate world, I don't think I could just go sit on a beach. I'm actually amazed at women that I know who, have a totally different life than I do. But I think that my husband and I both feel very much about giving back and how important that is in our lives and how important it is that our children are involved, and how good it makes you feel to do things for other people. For me, saving things from the landfill has become an incredible passion. In fact, sometimes I think I'm a bit OCD about it. But I think you have to do this. How can you feel good about yourself if you don't help other people when you have the capability to do it? With the Empower program, I didn't really want another project. But what I said to myself when I walked out of there, and I thought about it for quite a while, if I don't do it, who will? And I think that's the bottom line. If you're capable and you see a need and you don't address it, how can you live with yourself?
Elizabeth, for all the women who are listening, probably beginning their careers in the middle of their work life, what are the top 3 qualities that has always helped you in your journey?
I think one is setting goals with passion. Setting goals. I trained as a lawyer and became an entrepreneur, and I say I'm a lawyer by profession, an entrepreneur by choice. Every time that I talk to young people about their journey in life, I always ask them, do you have any goals? And some of them will kind of look at me and they don't quite understand. And then even if they say, yes, they do, I ask them one question. Are your goals written down? And the majority of people don't write their goals down. And so you've got to ask yourself, when it comes to December 31st and you're looking back over the year, what did you really accomplish? Because you don't know what your goals were in the first place. And when I was cleaning out my office, when I sold my company, I found this little scrap of paper that had these goals on it. And, I felt amazing that I had exceeded my goals. Not that I'd sold my company and put some money in the bank. I felt much better about my goals. So I think goals is really number one. Where are you going? What are you doing? What do you want to achieve? I think the other thing is hard work. I think you have to be prepared in life to put in long hours, work hard. And, I just wonder with the younger generation, whether that's something that they really want to do. I find with our Empower young women that they're extremely responsible. They want to work hard. They're ambitious. And one of the things employers talk about is that they're not job jumpers. So I think that's wonderful for them. And I think that the third thing is kindness. Kindness to others. I know when I ran my company, I had several instances where there were disasters amongst the staff, and I just had to step up and help. And I think that's a motto to live by, really, a motto to live by.
On the last note, what would you have to say on the power of networking in today's world?
I think it's essential, absolutely vital, absolutely essential. And it's so easy now, with the internet, with social media, with Facebook, with LinkedIn, with, oh my gosh, there's so many things, right? I think it's so easy and it's so much fun. I mean, I can sit at this computer and I think I'm guilty of sitting at it too long, too often. And I can talk to people in Toronto, in New York, in London, in India, anywhere. It's just made things so much easier. People find me, I find them. I mean, some of the people that ask me to link with them are a bit weird, I have to say, but I think it's fun and absolutely vital. What they say is that most of the jobs you're going to get in life come from your network. They don't come from the South China Morning Post or LinkedIn. They come from your network. So I think it's vital and it's fun.
So true, absolutely true. The power of networking is amazing. Elizabeth, thank you so much for taking time out for my show and coming here. It was such a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Diptii. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. That was Ms. Elizabeth Thomson of the Amber Foundation here in Hong Kong. She does fabulous work and has fabulous work ethics. And personally, she's a very warm person. I hope that you found the interview inspiring and helpful to you. Thank you.